Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Dan-A-Plooza. My guest at this time, you can see, is quite the horror fanatic. Let's give a round of applause for ReAnimateHer.
Hello, how is everybody?
Aw, look at the kitty.
Yeah, this is Fusa. Again, remember I told you earlier that she loves her 15 minutes. She loves the camera.
As long as she doesn't take the microphone, start meowing or talking for you.
Sometimes she does. She likes to rub up against the microphone. She's like giving kitty ASMR over here.
So, for those folks watching and for future watching, ReAnimateHer creates horror content for a living. You can follow her on her social media platforms. That is ReAnimateHer, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Also check out her YouTube show. She's the host of Coffee Chats of Horror, which airs on a weekly basis.
That it does. Thank you very much.
That's the plug segment.
Sure.
So tell me, what inspired you to start having kind of like a like this horror chats, like almost kind of having like a horror talk show? What inspired you to make that?
Well, I was streaming on a platform called Beam, and actually, I met my mentor on that platform, and his name was or is Cranky Canuck. He passed away a couple of years back, but yeah, he was a great man. He's the reason why I do a coffee show, because what he used to do is Monday through Friday in the mornings, he'd have his own coffee show. Nothing to do with horror, just sit back, chit chat, have some fun stuff. And, he was very knowledgeable, and his show was a lot of fun. So I decided, I'm going to, that didn't happen for a while though. He helped inspire me to become the creator that I currently am. When you become a creator, you have to find yourself. Like, who are you as a creator? What makes you stand out from others? And I didn't know who I was. And he asked me that question. He's like, who are you? And I want to answer. And I was like, okay, let me think about that. And I thought about it. And I'm like, well, what makes me stand out against most people is my love for horror. I mean, I've been collecting for over 20 years. I love and live and breathe horror. And so I came back to him and I said, I'll be a horror creator and play horror games like indie titles. And then slowly that turned into talking about movies. And it started out as autopsies on film and TV shows in the horror genre. And then when he passed away, I started doing them. And then when he passed away, I started doing them even more. And they were like once a month. And then they started becoming bi-weekly. And then every Sunday, I was doing them live. And then it went from just movies to interviewing people that I knew. And it went from that to starting to interview people in the indie market, whether it's indie games or indie horror movies, authors, artists, all of that. So it's basically was born, and yeah, it's evolved into this, what I do now. It's nice. It's great. I love it.
And that's kind of interesting because it's almost like you made like a building like platform. You started here and gradually it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you built a foundation for it.
Yeah. And it just evolved naturally by itself. It was like we were going on doing, I still do movies. I still do autopsies. I haven't done one in a while because I'm revamping it. But it started off as just giving behind the scenes and chit-chatting about horror movies. And then, it just naturally evolved to interviews.
Well, I think that's an amazing story and journey that you have taken for it to grow. And we here at Dan-A-Plooza want to see it continue to flourish and prosper well into the future.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. As long as there's still internet and I still have something to talk about, hopefully there'll still be content.
Exactly. As long as it never reverts back to broadband, we gotta, wait for the dial-up.
Oh, yeah. Get off the phone. I want to go on the internet.
I gotta wait for the man to run.
Yep.
But so with seeing all of your wonderful horror memorabilia behind you, um,
Mhm.
do you have a favorite horror memorabilia piece?
Oh, I have a few.
Quite a few.
I have a few that are like, my holy grails. It's hard to see, but my Jason right there, that is a part three, Jason Voorhees. It's really, like I said, it's hard to see as where my camera is set up, but it's from part three, and it's a
Wow.
beautifully done latex hawk of part three,
Oh, wow.
Jason, by Shallow Grave FX. And it was sent to me by one of my dear friends, Pixie, who is also from the Merkin family that we were talking about earlier when we weren't live. That's like one of my favorite pieces. And then you won't see it here because it's up top over there. I have a Dr. Herbert West figure in its package, and that's like one of my other favorite items because I'm a huge ReAnimateHer fan. That's how I got my name.
Yeah,
Those are my
I
pieces. Trying to think what else. I have so many, so to kind of remember. And then I have my whole house has my horror in it, right? So
oh yeah.
I got a couple
But
of hand drawn and painted pieces above me of oil paint and airbrush of
wow.
Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Hellraiser, Pinhead.
Oh, okay. Very, very cool. Um,
Yeah, they're one of a
see,
kind. Like you won't buy that. You won't be able to buy them anywhere,
and that's the best part is when it's truly is one of a kind and not one of many, and it
right?
brings
Yeah.
cherished value.
Oh yeah, definitely.
um, so one of my favorites is actually above you is Ghostface. Ghostface
Ah, yeah.
um, has always been one of my favorite horror characters. Um, I just like the movie, how it all plays out. Um, and I like just all the different characters in there and just how the voice was for that movie. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of factors in that movie that make it a good movie. And I haven't watched the new one. I am itching to watch the new one, but like,
Yeah, you're gonna love it. That's all I'm gonna say is you're gonna love it.
but sometimes, like, I know you've watched this with other horror movies. Do you feel like sometimes when they keep making the movie again and again, do you like when they keep continuing and making the series longer, or at some point are you like, this should stop after 2 or 3?
I think it should stop before you kill a franchise, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to bring one back here and there, like to, well, I don't really care for the new Halloweens, but like
Right.
Scream did. Scream came back, and I'm not gonna do any spoilers, so don't worry. Um, Scream came back with, like, this is a home run. This Scream
Oh yeah.
2022 is definitely a home friggin' run for them. And that is really cool. I just hope they don't go on the same kick and they start making, number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's like, okay, now. I'd love to see a new Friday the 13th, but I don't want to see 5 more Friday the 13th. I like to see
No.
one that's going to be like, kick ass. I
Yeah.
would love to see a Nightmare on Elm Street. I do love the newer horror though that's been happening for 2022, and I'm really excited for some of the newest stuff that hasn't even come out yet, like Black Box with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. You know what I'd like to see? It's the other mess behind you. I'd like to see an kind of updated Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh yes, yes. I love Frankenstein. I love
Oh yeah.
Frankenstein's monster. It's like my this was the monster that I related to the most when I was a little girl. That's what my grandmother got me into the classic monsters. And this is before they became universal monsters, right? This is back in the
Oh
day.
yeah.
And I fell in love with Frankenstein's monster and was able to relate a crap ton to that monster, believe it or not, as a kid.
I'm thinking because you said you're a little girl liking Frankenstein. It immediately reminds me of the movie Monster Squad.
I love the Monster Squad. Grew up watching that.
Oh my goodness,
I seen Monster Squad in movie theaters. Oh my lord, am I dating myself? Yep.
I just remember the kid with the shotgun. My name is Horace, and he just
Wolfman's got nards.
nards.
Yeah, that's an awesome movie.
It's
like the Goonies. It's like the horror of Goonies, right? It was because Goonies came out in the same era, and I love the Goonies as well. It's an adventure, pirate adventure. And Monster Squad was like the horror version of that. It was a good time back then. A great era.
Oh yeah, such a good movie. I've met Andre Gower before.
Oh, nice.
Yes, really cool. He was really cool, and I think like when we were talking like back to the Scream thing, like some people were like spoilers. They're like, should Matthew Lillard came back? And I'm like, he got killed by the TV. You know, that would be
that would be kind of hard.
That's back before flat screens, you know.
Exactly. That was a big ass heavy TV with glass. Wasn't safety glass either. I hope it's a big ass TV.
But for me, it's like sometimes I like when they make like some horror movies where they make like too many, or like they're just silly fun, like Critters. Like I enjoy Critters because it's like
awesome. I really want one of those in my collection. I don't have a Crite. I want one.
You don't have a Crite?
No, I want one. I have Gremlins. I don't have a Crite. I need one. They're hard to find. They're not as easy. And then if you find them, they're a lot of money.
I don't know if you remember like in the first film, but like in one part of the scene, the woman has the shotgun and she's like ready to shoot the Crite, and he's like, they've got like weapons, and like they just roll away.
Yeah. Oh, and I think it's the second one where they make the big giant furball wheel of of all the critters. They're all just like rolling down. Yep. Did you see the TV show?
I haven't seen that.
Definitely watch it. It's silly. I mean, you can't take Critters seriously. Like it's a comedy. It's a horror sci-fi comedy, and the TV show is just as much cheesy and goofy as the movies themselves.
I'll definitely watch that. That one, I've watched the Child's Play series.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
It is. It's interesting because like when I was younger, I was afraid of the doll and everything like that.
Dolls are creepy.
It is, especially because of like the look of it too. You know, it's all like harder plastic and everything, and like, but now I kind of like the look a lot better. You know, he's not like as like hard plastic. You know, it's got like a better finish on him.
Yeah. Well, it's better technology and puppetry now, and it's not CGI, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a real doll. It's not like the CGI. They didn't just, put him in there and make this crappy thing and then use computer generated graphics for him. But I really enjoyed the TV series. I didn't mind the remake either. I really wish, and it's not even a remake, it's a reimagining of Chucky. And I think that film would have done way better if they named it something totally different, like Good Guy Dolls or something. And keep it in the universe. Don't name it exactly that. Just because they changed the story, right? I don't know if you've seen Child's Play, the reimagining.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was just like,
it was disappointing because you were expecting a certain thing, and then but it was actually pretty decent film, and it had a decent story. But I would have named it something else, almost like what Spiral did. Right? Spiral kept it in the Saw family, like in the Saw universe. It didn't make a new Saw. It just part of that universe. And Spiral was really good. Yeah,
that was a great film. But yeah, I love when he jumps in the needles in the dumpster, and he just starts joys of glee.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's a cringy. I don't like needles. That's a
Oh,
that's a cringy spot. I'm like, I can't even imagine.
It's just his voice sometimes, or when he's the Hello Kitty, he wears the Hello
Yeah,
Kitty mask.
yeah. Brad Dourif is awesome. Awesome. I know, Fusa. What are you doing in
Yeah.
my way?
What did you think of with Mark Hamill when he did the voice of Chucky?
Not bad. I really didn't look at the doll as Chucky. I looked at it as a good guy doll, and I didn't take
Yeah.
that doll as Chucky as Child's Play. I
Yeah.
looked at it as it's just a good guy doll because it didn't have
Gone
Chucky's look,
bad.
right? It didn't have the
Right.
look of Chucky. Completely different look. Sorry, my told you my cat loves the webcam. She loves it, but stop. They they made him look different, completely different, and his voice is different. So to me, it wasn't Chucky. But I think if
Yeah.
they would have named it something other than, I think the movie would have done better. Like, maybe Good Guy Doll's Gone Bad. I don't know. Whatever title you could
When
use.
good guy dolls go bad. The miniseries.
Exactly. Name it something else, and I think that movie would have done way better.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I can't get behind because he doesn't feel like Chucky, like the voice where he
Oh.
was just kind of confused. I was just like, this is more of a malfunctioned, or
It is. It was a computer chip gone wrong, right? It wasn't a doll in voodoo because Chucky, Charles, was into voodoo, and that's how he moved Damballa. That's how he moved his body from his soul, I should say, from his body to a doll. And this was just a microchip that went rogue or something.
And the whole glowing finger, I'm like, it's E.T.
It's not
what?
E.T.
This is bad.
Yeah. But that's where I think they went wrong is naming it Child's Play.
Yeah. I felt like they were just trying to do that to cash in on the franchise already, and earn money.
Could have. Yeah.
So tell people about, because I also want to say about your Twitch stream, what people can find there.
Well, if you head to my Twitch channel, you'll find me playing indie horror titles. Not just like people automatically think Dead by Daylight. No. When I say indie horror titles, I mean indie titles. Usually these games are made by one person. Like Puppet Combo games. I don't know if you know Puppet Combo games, but they have some really good games out, like the Nun Massacre, which is a hard game. I'm just playing that one. But if you come over to my Twitch, you'll get to see different indie horror games, some zombie games. Wednesdays is my indie smorgasbord where I play more than just one game. I'll start off with maybe Death Damnation, which is another indie game. Play that for a little bit and then play another 30-minute indie game or an hour indie game. So people get a nice little taste of different indie games that are out there. In May, you will see The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead game comes out, and that's going to just take my whole life over. I love The Evil Dead. Yes, exactly. The game is great. I have an Xbox, so I was able to beta test the game this weekend and the last beta. Oh my God, I can't wait for this game to come out. Then we have The Quarry coming out in June, so that'll be in my stream as well. And you get to see me. I mean, I'm not the greatest at video games by any means. People find me funny. I don't find me funny, but people find me funny. So there you go.
Yeah. I've gotten out of the gaming, but I don't know if you remember this game. It was like a horror game back in the day. Zombie Ate My Neighbors.
Yes, I think I have it for my Nintendo Switch. I think they remastered it. Yes, that's a fun game.
It is.
They just redid House of the Dead too for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah. So, did you ever play Resident Evil?
Yep.
Yeah.
The whole franchise. My favorite so far is still Biohazard. I know. It's completely different than the rest of the franchise. And if I have to go with one of the originals, I'll have to say Resident Evil 1 or even 2 that I like. But my favorite so far is Biohazard number 7 out of Resident Evil.
Definitely. I haven't played that, but back many years ago when I played the first Resident Evil, and I just remember like the intro and like trying to figure out which picture goes in order with the character.
Yeah. And I think it was like Resident Evil that really brought us into the zombie genre for video games, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had Silent Hill, a little bit different. But I think, now don't quote me on it, but I think Resident Evil was one of the first to bring zombies into video games like that first, the way they did it.
Oh, yeah. It got I remember I had the greatest hits PSP version because it got the greatest hits, and then like like, okay, we have to go outside and shoot this zombie one, and then you'd shoot wrong. Oh, okay, go back in the door.
Yep. They had hard controls back then. Not like we have now. Kids have no idea what it was like to play video games growing up in our era. No saves, blowing on cartridges and putting them in there and finagle them on the NES.
Oh, man.
And it wasn't until I think PlayStation? No, maybe not, but it wasn't until like we received saved cards, right? Oh, yeah. I never had that for my NES. That was my first console. That was my only console up until I was old enough to buy my own.
Yeah, I was. I had Atari.
Yes. Nice. I have an Atari now and a ColecoVision, which is old.
Oh, Coleco.
My cousins had the Atari. Like my very first video game was Pong and oh no, it's the alligator ones. Something pit.
Pitfall?
Yes, Pitfall.
Yes.
The alligator's in the pit and you have to jump over and do these things.
Yeah.
Those were my very first video games. And then when I got my first Nintendo was for Christmas 1985. That was my very first. That was our only Christmas present me and my sister got was an NES. And our first games were Mario and one skeleton game, and I can't remember what the hell that was called.
Yeah, that's what me and my sister got was Nintendo for Christmas, and Mario was the first game, and she used to kill my character. I remember that. And then like we had a game called, I think it was called Skull and Crossbones, and it was a pirate game.
Oh, nice.
You could change different weaponry, and you could go to different levels and fight different kinds of different pirates and everything. And it was a very standard game, but it was a lot of fun and everything. And I remember playing that. But yeah, I had Nintendo, then I had Sega, Genesis, and then
nice.
I went to PlayStation.
Yes, my PlayStation was the first console I had as an adult.
Yeah, well, I had the Xbox, the original Xbox, but I got that Ring of Red. Or that, yeah, and then that was the end of that. And then I just PlayStation.
I went PlayStation. I bought my first PlayStation when I was an adult when it came out. Got one the first day they came out, and then got myself a PC, and went between PlayStation and PC. Then I didn't get an Xbox until the Xbox 360 Slim, and I got it for my kid, my spawn. Because I was PlayStation, I had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and I always been a PlayStation girl. And then she got a Slim for her birthday, and she was gaming. And then I was deciding whether I want an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. And I'm like, well, let's see the game. And what sold me on Xbox was not the Xbox, because I was a PlayStation fangirl. It was the game Dead Rising 3. That got me. I'm like, this is my shit right here. This is it. And I've been Xbox ever since. I don't even have a 5. I'm like, psh, don't care. But I still own all of my PlayStations.
Oh yeah, was that in the arcade? I want to think that was like an arcade game.
Dead Rising 1 and 2 were really great games for zombie games. And yes, then Dead Rising 3 came out for Xbox when Xbox One came out. And then there's a 4, but 3 is still the best.
Not playing that 4.
4 is actually, it's not bad. They bring back Frank West, but yeah, I still like Nick. That's a number 3.
So with what is it that you like most about the horror genre? What appeals to you?
I love the blood, guts, and ass that go all over the screen. I love the violence. I do. Before there was the internet, before there was a horror community, before there were horror cons, there were horror magazines and horror movies and the VHS store. So back then when I fell in love with horror as a kid, going Fangoria, I used to have a newspaper out. I was 11, 12 years old, and I was doing newspapers just to make enough money so I can buy my Fangoria magazine at the 7-Eleven or the gas station.
Right.
And that's what I loved. What got me into it was all the practical effects. Oh, what the hell was that? That scared the crap out of me. But as I got older, it was more of the scares that really got me into horror. I really love the fact that you can see something that's not going to happen in reality. There's no way that Jason Voorhees is going to be in reality, right? Unless some guy dresses up in a mask, but he's dead once you shoot him and you kill him.
Right.
Jason just keeps coming back. I love the whole scare part, but as I got older, I've been more inclined to the gorier stuff. I really do like the gory side of films. So bloodier the better. Now that we have internet, I really love the horror community. Like-minded people getting together, talking about films, not gatekeeping. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, you have your buttholes in there and everything that make things bad, but for the most part, I've met some amazing people in the horror community and the horror cons. Going to those cons when they started, yeah.
Movie I would recommend for you if you like indie horror is
I love indie.
My friend Steve Rzinski. He directed Carousel Hell, and it's about a carousel unicorn horse that goes awry. And like,
what's the name of it again? I'm writing it down.
Carousel Hell.
Carousel Hell.
And now they're finished. They've done Carousel Hell 2, so they.
Nice. And number 2 to look for. Perfect. Thank you. I will definitely look for them. I like indie horror films because people put their passion, right? They don't just make a horror film to make a horror film to make money. They make a horror film because they're a fan of horror. Yeah. And that is one of my biggest reasons why I love indie films, like Found. Found is an indie film made in 2012. I would highly suggest it. And then, like Jason Rising and then Friday the 13th Vengeance. These are all fan-made films from people who love the genre, who love horror. And it's nice to see they put a lot of blood. I'm not trying to, put down like Wes Craven or anything like that. Those guys are masters of horror and they're just, gods. But just seeing somebody who watched movies and then decided, you know what, I can do that and do it with very little budget and make it really amazing. You can just see the love that goes into it.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And that's why I enjoy it. My friend Todd Wolfson, he just made his first like indie film, and it's called Batshit.
Batshit.
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down.
It's got like, I'll have to send you the trailer, but it's got like music going and all these little different kind of gags and everything. And he was really proud of it, and he's going into making more things. So it's good when you see when people, they put the passion and then like you could see the product, and to me, it's all about the storytelling and how it's a part of the journey,
Yeah, for sure.
So, before we leave Dan-A-Plooza, is there anything you'd like to say, promote, plug?
No, thank you very much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed myself. I had a great time, and I can't wait to watch the VOD.
Yep, I will send that. We may have, because I'm starting to do panels, so
Ooh,
we maybe will have like a horror panel, and we could put yourself there. I have friends from Dawn of the Dead movie,
nice, right on.
some other indie people, and I feel like it would be a nice collection of different people of different experiences and skills, and all connected to the horror. So
Yeah,
that's
that sounds
what
like
I'd like
fun.
to
Definitely keep me in the loop. Let me know.
do. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Have a good night.
And
Bye.